Hello, Expand Dog. How you doing, dude? Kitties are into.
It's actually a good thing that he puts up this stupid fucking banner. It means whenever I'm scrubbing during the pre-stream looking for the gaming news segment, all I have to do is look for the banner, and I know he's talking about gaming news. Big ups, Red Animator. Thoughts on Super Princess Peach? Do you mean Princess Peach Showtime? 600k away from outselling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as it should be. I don't really have any bombastic reactions to that other than cool.
Marathon event. You can nominate
I hope it sells. I hope it sells a million copies more.
And then maybe we could play that game during the Indies Marathon.
I'm gonna wish it well, like Ricada.
It's any good? I'd be down for that.
I hope you make $1 billion.
Why does Jasper wear a collar if he doesn't go outside? Number one, because the bell on his collar lets us know where he is, so he doesn't sneak up on us. And number two, because if he accidentally does get outside, it has our information on it. Not to say that he ever should, but I mean, there've been a few times where he runs into the garage. Or,
is that how I beat those guys?
Open, maybe he's gonna run. You know what I mean? You never know.
Okay, so I gotta do that with the guys in the fire level too.
Okay.
Yeah, sneak up on us, like dude. Agent DeClaude was just a meme.
We have an Indies Marathon coming
Agent DeClaude isn't real.
Centric Indies Marathon on May 25th. It's a Saturday.
Looked at the tractor memes and thought they were reality.
Games that you guys aren't currently nominating, you can do that right now.
Your cat, he's not an assassin. We were just fucking with you.
All right, and I hope that you will nominate a variety of games for me, because I don't know what I've been missing in Indies recently. I'm not in the know on that. But the more or the most nominated games
weird when people have been telling you to play stuff like Pizza Sour.
About a week's time. Okay, and then after that,
there are indies coming out you've heard about.
What games will actually be played during the marathon? Okay, so please nominate, and thank you for that. Are we ready to talk about this news, man? Because
what are you doing? Are you waiting? You reading the chat?
Everyone's favorite segment. But being that today we have such downer news, I don't want to say it's everyone's favorite segment at this point.
Oh yeah, well you just said it, man.
It's not really.
Just please get on with the story. Are you thinking about what you gotta say?
Let's begin with the news that was happening overnight. Okay. First of all, Remedy Entertainment has canceled a game that literally we just found out about. If you remember, it was about a week or two ago. Remedy Entertainment came out and said, hey, here's all the stuff we're currently working on, you know, for the next year or two. And one of these games that they had mentioned was a game called Kestrel. And everyone was like, what the hell is Kestrel? Like, we know Control, and we know Control's getting a sequel and a spin-off. We know, obviously...
Well, it doesn't matter what it is now, because that shit's canceled.
Kestrel. And it's like, what is that? Well, codename Kestrel had a small team working on it. It was an early concept stage of a game that was going to be a
so early concept, so never really got far.
Game. But what does that mean?
Inconsequential nonsense is what I hear.
And they already canceled it and said, nah, we're not going to do it. They're just going to focus on single player content.
All right, there you go. Again, like it doesn't matter. Early concept, not a lot of work was done on it.
Basically, they know that
it already sounds like something Phil wasn't interested in to begin with.
Single player experiences.
Listen to him here. He doesn't give a fuck. Okay, whatever.
And they were like, nah, that's fine. At least they didn't put an insane amount of effort into it before they canceled it. So
yeah, exactly.
That's just a little snippet of game news.
Codename Kafals.
Queen
Kafals, baby.
Overnight, Nintendo shocked the world. Although I don't find this news shocking at all.
Oh my god, I already hate this.
It's just inevitable that it was going to come out.
Yeah.
Of course, people freak out and act like it's a big deal. So this is an actual Twitter post.
This guy cries so much when people rumor post and post fake leaks and all that shit. It's annoying too. I agree. So he's like, oh, just wait for the official announcement. When it's out and when the info is out, the info was out. You know, when it's out, it's out. Stop fucking talking about these fucking gossiping and rumors. Stop talking about all this stuff. And then the official announcement comes out and he's like, we already knew they were gonna come out with a new Switch anyway. It's like, this isn't news. Like, what is the news? There is no news here. It's like, bro, okay, do you want us to go back to rumor mongering? It's like, okay, I know a new Switch is on the way because common sense, context clues, and rumor mongers. Okay, but like from an official business shareholder standpoint, it hasn't been officially announced. So at some point they were gonna do it anyway. And just like with the Zelda live action movie and the Mario Brothers movie sequel, this was announced very casually from a tweet on the official business Japanese account of Nintendo. So like either way, no matter what, they had to talk about it eventually. What DSP's just like, oh, I'm not surprised because like I saw like 1,000 people already like say it was gonna happen, so I already knew it was coming. Like, of course Nintendo's gonna make a new console. Obviously, this doesn't mean I'm not excited for the Switch 2. It's like I was saying earlier, it gives me a time frame now to work with in regards to well, they straight up said fiscal year. So that's anywhere between now and March. So now I can like speculate, okay, when are they gonna reveal the hardware? When are they gonna reveal the software? DSP doesn't think about any of this shit. But I do think about the GPM Guitar Punk Master Raid. Party of 11. Hello, GPM. Thank you for the GPM raid. We're listening to DSP give Nintendo the smackdown. Enter the Matrix dominated. Congratulations. We have a new emote, Soul 5. Aye. And you can use the emote as well. GPM. And Jesse51. And many other such people like Rexum _. Yeah, DSP saw the tweet that Nintendo announced the Switch 2 officially. And he's like, I'm not surprised, because, like, I already knew they were making a new console, right? I was like, motherfucker, just because you know eventually they're going to come out with a new console doesn't mean they don't have to officially announce it for their shareholders. And it still creates discussion, whatever you want to, regardless of whatever you want to say about it. Like, oh, I already knew it was going to happen. Okay, well, what? You just wanted to keep it a secret to, like, a week before? Like, what are you talking about? I know what I'm talking about. The Sweet Bean 10 stream streak. And she says, yippee! It goes for the raid GPM. We're playing Tomba 2. That funny speedrunner game.
Post from the Nintendo Company Limited official account. Ready?
Whoa.
This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024.
It's Almighty Tevin. I'm reacting semi-blind to the gaming news segment.
Presentation.
Yeah, take your sip. What does that mean to you, DSP?
So
here's the deal.
Number
one, Nintendo sucks.
The president of Nintendo getting ahead of this. Why? Because so many times
he really didn't
say nothing.
He really didn't, considering that we had like months and months of Switch 2 rumor mongering that this guy complained about. But I guess if he's gonna give him the big ups, even if it's like not even correct, because he didn't get ahead of all the rumor mongering. People have been talking about the Switch 2 for years. All these fucking articles coming out about the specs of the Switch 2 and shit. They're like, oh, thanks for getting ahead of the story. I guess not really. You didn't really get ahead of it, but whatever. At least he's not mad about it. He's appeased for the wrong reasons. Big ups Easy Money and JC200X.
Right? And they try to keep it under wraps. And what ends up happening is ridiculous, rampant speculation, baseless assumptions. People saying absolutely ridiculous
things. So you hate
like,
the baseless speculation, but when they give them an official announcement, you're like, you don't care either.
Right? Which is ridiculous.
Big up
Because no one ever has any information about that, but they always just make it up to try to have clickbait news and stuff.
Wrong. The Pioro account on Twitter literally has a method to determine what is announced on Nintendo Directs. If you paid even a lick of attention to the people who follow the Bird account on Twitter, the Pioro guy, the Bird account on the Bird app, or what was formerly the Bird app, you will realize that that guy has some sort of source that tells him specifically announcements of upcoming Nintendo shit. And he is the only valid leaker style man from what I've seen.
I almost feel like this is the president of Nintendo, Furukawa, literally saying, I don't want drama around this nonsense. I'm going to just announce this ahead.
What the fuck are you talking about? I don't want drama. Yes, the president of Nintendo just said, I don't want fucking drama from Western gaming journalists. This dude probably doesn't even speak English. Yes, I don't want drama from Western gaming media outlets and like accounts with like less than 100 followers on Twitter. I am going to announce it right now. I'm just going to lay down the law. I'm going to put my foot down. This is the Switch 2, and it's coming out. It is existing, and I will give no further information. Right?
at a time. So
Like how I love how drama is just a go-to buzz. We're like, what? You're right, Peaches. Like, what fucking drama is there to derive from, as he says, baseless speculation about a video game console? Who does that hurt? Who does that hurt exactly? Who is having a bad day if I make a video about Nintendo rumors and it gets like 1,000 views and I get like thousands and thousands of pennies in ad revenue? Who has a who has a bad day because I have a good day because I made a video about Nintendo rumors and speculation? That doesn't make any sense at all. No one's being hurt. It's a victimless crime.
That way, no one can make stuff up. Which is
no
a
one
good
can make
approach,
stuff
in my
up.
opinion. Transparency is appreciated. So, the two things you learn here, number one, they're making a new Switch. We already knew that. Right now, is it going to be called the Switch? Probably not.
I mean, again, we only knew it because of baseless rumors, speculation, the kind of shit this guy doesn't like, and because it's just the inevitability of the console's lifespan. Like, the sales are winding down. They're still peaked. They're still pretty high. The numbers were put up today for the last quarter. A lot of stuff like Red Anime was saying earlier about Princess Peach getting like 1 million, close to outselling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Scarlet and Violet getting real close to outselling Pokemon Sword and Shield. Who's to know if that'll actually happen by the end of the console's lifespan? But yeah, a lot of games are doing good. Big ups to the quarterly sales, and that was where they announced the Switch 2 stuff.
But we already knew they're going to make a new console. I mean, the real announcement would have been, oh, we've decided to get out of the console business. We're like, what? Nintendo?
He wanted. Remember the Hate Live where he wanted them to get out of the console business because of the shit that happened with the Wii U? It's fairly long generation by Nintendo standards, specifically because the Wii U was such a short generation. But yeah, it was inevitable that a new console had to come out. So yeah, is it really that much of a surprise? Well, coupled with that inevitability of them having to put out a new product to like appease their shareholders and just the technological specifications too. Like the Switch hardware is from 2015, so they are gonna have to put out something new. As technology advances. Now, are you going to be able to play your Mario games in 4K with 60 frames per second? Is it going to be, oh my god, the strongest console ever? Probably not. Probably not. But if we can get like 1080p, maybe a couple games running 60 on a handheld, it won't be stronger than a Steam Deck, but I don't know, that'll be enough to impress me. The Switch can't do that now, not with most games. Top 9 best-selling Switch games have outsold every Sony release ever. Best-selling Sony SKU was Horizon Zero Dawn at 23 million. Yeah, no wonder they're remaking it. Let's Get Out after making the best-selling console. This dude doesn't know anything about anything, but tells you that he knows. Like he knows about the gaming industry. He knows that he sees all the gaming trends. Then he's over here begging for Nintendo to exit the gaming industry. Do you know anything about anything, DSP? Literally the best-selling console of all time. I don't know if it's surpassed the PS2 yet or not, but if not, they're on the cusp of it. They're on the cusp of having the greatest-selling console ever. And this motherfucker is like, okay, well, you know what? I'm not surprised by the news you gave me today, so, like, if you actually want to surprise me, how about you just make a whole... how about you just exit the industry, right? Just let Sony win. Just let Microsoft bend you over a fucking table. While you're at it, give me your mailing address. I want to mail you a spoon.
It was, like, done? No. We knew they were going to make another console, right? I mean, Switch is one of their most profitable consoles of all time.
He sounds like he really didn't want to admit that.
Would they not make another one, right?
It feels like that it hurt him to say that.
They're going to talk about it in the next fiscal year. So that means, within the end of this year, we're going to know about this new console. Now, we're not going to probably be able to buy it, but at least we're going to have information of it. And I would guess, if that's the case, it probably means, that they're probably going to sell it next year. Or next fiscal year. Okay? Now, the other thing that I appreciate...
Wait, did he say that about fiscal year?
Even though there's a Nintendo Direct coming up...
Hey, hold up.
We're gonna know. The real news here is that they're going to talk about it in the next fiscal year. So that means, within the end of this year, we're gonna know about...
They're gonna talk about it at the end of this fiscal year, so that means by the end of this year...
The real news here is that they're going to talk about it in the next fiscal year. So that means, within the end of this year,
oh my god, Dave,
about this new console. Now, we're not going to probably be able to buy it, but at least we're going to have information of it. And I
buddy.
would guess, if that's the case, it probably means, excuse me, that they're probably going to sell it next year.
What is a
or
non-physical
next
year?
Fiscal year. Okay. Now, the other thing that I appreciate is that he literally says, even though there's a Nintendo Direct coming up in June, there's no new console information in it. Good.
Okay, even if you use your okay, DSP talked about common sense. Oh yeah, we knew Nintendo was making a Switch too. Well, if you knew that and you were like as smart as you think you are, you would also know that Nintendo never really gives hardware details in Nintendo Directs anyway. So you should have just already knew that was a foregone conclusion.
Good for saying that, because too many idiots on the internet just make shit up about it and keep saying, oh, we're gonna get all this information about it and we're gonna, here's our speculation, here's our hype. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't work for Nintendo. You don't know anything. You just make shit up for
make shit up for clicks and garbage drama content.
And it's stupid because people believe it. They actually
the Bureau account has never been disproven.
Nonsensical. So anyway,
I can't vouch for those other fake ass leakers, but I know the Bird's been real. He's been one of the real ones.
When you announce it, it's going to be something better to what gamers would really want. But if we look at Nintendo's track record, the answer is probably no, it will not be.
Oh boy, okay, here's the negative segment. We were already kind of stupid going in, but now we're gonna go full regard.
But if we look at Nintendo's track record...
What is Nintendo's track record? Again, the highest selling console ever, just like a very small amount of millions behind the PS2?
Probably no, it will not be. Nintendo is infamous for completely disregarding fan feedback when it comes to designing consoles, right? What do the fans want? We want more powerful hardware on the inside so that we can actually have our games look as good as the competitors, right? Imagine a Mario
just have
game
the same
or a
ass
Zelda
fucking
game
shit
that's
as the
running
competitors.
in full 1080p 60.
Just have a pass the remote raid with the party of 4. Thank you, pass the remote for the raid. We're looking at DSP shit on Nintendo all over again. Because you know I'm gonna have something to say about it. People want to Switch too? Yeah. Look at what people want. Do they really want the graphics? Do they really want the high frame rate? No, they just want the Switch too. It doesn't matter what it is. Would it be appreciated? Would people appreciate if it had better graphics? Yeah. I think it's just again, it's a foregone conclusion. Like, as inevitable as it is for them to make a new console, so too do I think it is inevitable that the new console will have better graphics. But I'm not expecting the world, and DSP shouldn't either. But he wants the world. He wants it to just be the same as the PS5 and the Series X. Well, what the fuck is his incentive to get a Nintendo console then if it just has the same specs as the other consoles? Just for you to play Mario and Pokemon and Donkey Kong and all that shit? But he doesn't like those games anyway. He doesn't think. Like, really, if Nintendo had the same specs as the other consoles, what would be his incentive to buy it other than software that he doesn't even play anyway because he no longer plays Nintendo games like that?
Designing consoles, right? What do the fans want? We want more powerful hardware on the inside so that we can actually have our games look as good as the competitors, right? Imagine a Mario game or a Zelda game
can't even comprehend his own feedback for his channel.
1080p 60 frames with insane amounts of detail, or hell, even
I want a Nintendo. Hire this man. Mario Unreal Engine 4 garbage looking piece of shit Mario running around the realistic African savannah. That's what I want in my Mario.
4K, right? My God, it would blow your socks off. Instead, we got some of the worst looking games and worst performing games. I mean, are you kidding me? Tears of the Kingdom was a great game that looked awful.
You're just gonna cite Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There are a ton of Switch games, first party, that look great and play great.
It's just sad that they don't care about being. It's
a game by. It's by. You know, depends on the game.
We're gonna waggle around with motion controls. We're gonna have a stupid screen controller no one ever asked for or wanted. We're gonna have a console that's not.
The Switch concept was basically an improved Wii U. I'll say this. My first few years of owning the Switch, up until me beginning the streamer arc, I only ever used the tabletop mode or handheld mode. So this guy's fucking stupid saying no one wanted the Switch to have a fucking screen on it. What about kids? Kids growing up love handhelds. They love their DSs and 3DSs. So the kids of the now are gonna love the Switch too. They already play on tablets anyway. The kids of the now are already being raised on tablets anyway. Just give them a Nintendo tablet. I don't think they're ever gonna depart from that philosophy. Now that their console and handheld departments are merged together, I don't think they're ever gonna depart from that philosophy.
Not really a home console. It's a hybrid portable console home hybrid, but now it's weak because of that. Like, how about you just make a fucking console?
Again, DSP just wants them to copy the competition, but if they do that, what the fuck is the incentive to get a Nintendo console? If not this, because right then it's just the software, and this is a guy who doesn't like any Nintendo software.
Good. You ever think about that? Like back in the day with like Super Nintendo, like what was the
look at how far back. Look at how far back he has to go to find a console where Nintendo was dominating performance-wise. Maybe if you think about it, maybe if you really think about it, no Nintendo consoles were really about power. Though I will say, in the case of the GameCube was stronger than the PS2. Anyway,
that Nintendo innovated. Better technology in the carts, so it looked better than anything else of their competition, and an innovative...
Do you think that was their philosophy at the time, or that it was just like the second generation of gaming that Nintendo was involved with? And it was like less so something that they were adamant about, the power and performance of their games, or something that was more just like a natural consequence of the console they chose to develop. Like, do you think power was at the forefront when they were designing the SNES? I don't think so. Think power, like during the second ever generation that they had made a console in, as only like they just had the NES and, you know, the Famicom before that. You think they were caring about fucking power and performance? You think anybody was really thinking that back then?
Controller.
I think they wanted to compete with the GameCube, but since then they haven't given a fuck. Yeah, I can agree with that, because with Nintendo 64 they lost ground due to Sony using discs for the PlayStation, and they opted to stick with cartridges. So with GameCube they decided to go back to competing, and then they switched over to disc, but they used that proprietary mini disc format so that they wouldn't have to pay royalties if they used DVDs. Which is something that's something that continued well into the, I want to say, the Wii U. Even with Wii U and like Wii discs, those were still like proprietary Nintendo discs. They weren't DVDs.
That allowed better games to be developed, right? Can you tell me one game developed for Switch that's better because it was developed for Switch? Can anyone...
What does that mean? Bro, what does that mean? What did he mean by this? I don't know how to respond to that. Like, what question is that? What does he want from me? Sales numbers prove him wrong because in what he thinks people want. Yeah. This guy's a consumer, but he doesn't even know what the consumers want. Which is so fucking weird. It was a monopoly for handheld systems. Exactly. Why should they throw that away? Why should they throw the whole handheld monopoly out and just toss it away so that mobile gaming can dominate? Mobile gaming. I think I know why this guy hates Nintendo now. He's taking away the mobile gaming ground. Even if Switch were as powerful, Nintendo games wouldn't work on his channel. He would shit on them anyway. Yeah, exactly. What, is he gonna argue now that Nintendo games didn't perform well on his channel because the games themselves didn't run well? No. And again, it's not, this guy wants you to think like it's every Switch game that runs like this. Mario Odyssey runs beautifully. It's just Here's the Kingdom and Scarlet and Violet, because those were the two most recent Nintendo first-party games that he played that he can remember. Think about the games he played when the Switch came out. He never complained about performance back then. He didn't. He never did. He never did. DSP doesn't think about art, doesn't even pretend to understand art design. It's either good or bad, or in basic terms of good or bad. Yeah. The Wii U lives rent-free in his head. It still does! Again, DSP never forgets. I talked about this during that Power World Nintendo rant he had. He'll always remember the slights they gave him on the Wii U era. Because he didn't want to join their partner program, I think. They had the Nintendo partner program where you wouldn't get shut down by Nintendo, but fucking Wario has to come in and take like a certain percentage of your ad revenue. And guess what? That got felted with the Switch. Switch Lite sells 200K a week in JP. So only can barely sell 800 PS5s in JP. Yeah. The handhelds are where it's at in Japan. They're never going to stop doing that screen shit. But he's over here, he's going to tell you, let me tell you something, Digger. I'm going to tell you what the audiences want. Even if we're just like considering Westerners, I think they would disagree with Phil. Dude just wants to spend money and hope his man-child purchases save the house. Yeah. How many games developed for Xbox were complete dog shit? See, I can make regarded arguments too. Look, the thing about Halo Infinite, right, is that, like, everyone liked it when it launched, and then, it's not that they didn't update the game, it's just that they took too long to update the game, and now it's just a massive failure.
Literally, can you put your hand up and say, oh yeah, well, this game is Switch exclusive, and it's really good because it was on Switch? No. Nintendo was lost.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, a game... I gotta hear the whole thing. Like, okay, it's a game that is good because it was exclusive to the Switch. Huh? Well, if we talk about like stuff they own the rights to, is it good? Is a Mario game good because it was on the Switch? No. It's good because it's a fucking Mario game. Yeah, like what Switch game played better on PS5? Are you talking about multiplats? But he mentioned exclusives.
Home console, it's a hybrid, portable console, home hybrid, but now it's weak.
All Switch exclusives are better for being exclusive, otherwise they wouldn't exist.
Yep. Console that's good. You ever think about that?
No,
like back in the day with
Nintendo. No. All they care about is making bad consoles. That's why that's why their current console is one of the best-selling consoles in existence. It's like none of what he's telling us here, none of it makes any sense when you consider just how well the console has sold. He's arguing like they're trapped in Wii U days. Big up Seru. Dingus is the Ying. Yingus, swollen underscore Yingus versus Dark Side Yang.
Like, what was the thing that Nintendo innovated? Better technology in the carts.
Okay, Seru, what do you think of this part? Seru, DSP argues here that Nintendo used to be about power and performance. So he cites the SNES. Now, my counter argument is that's like only the second generation ever of Nintendo being involved with developing consoles. So is it really that power and performance was at the forefront, or is it just that they made a better device than like what came before, the NES? And just the fact that it was stronger than like the Genesis or whatever, which the Genesis was older than the SNES anyway. So again, like they're working with newer tech when they were making the SNES, so obviously it's going to be a bit stronger than the Genesis. But his whole thing here is that was like their priority when making the SNES. I don't think that's true. I think that's just like a natural consequence of what was going on at the time when they were developing the system. Big up Swipe Race. I will say again, the GameCube was stronger than the PS2. But I feel like, again, that's just a consequence of the tech they were working with at the time. Maybe they were trying to compete because they were trying to regain lost ground from the N64. And the Wii was just an overclocked GameCube from that point. But I really don't think it's correct to say Nintendo used to prioritize power. I don't think that's true. That was all that could be made, and whatever gen had over it was, well, yeah. Like, okay, you play Toy Story, Seru. Toy Story is better in the Genesis version. More levels, better music, the screen is wider. Compromises had to be made when it was put on the SNES. Now, of course, there are specifics here, nuances and niche. Games could be different depending on developer, optimization of the console, and taking advantage of what it could do, and understanding the console's limitations too, which I think Traveler's Tales, who developed Toy Story back in the day, I think they understood what the console limitations were. The dude that runs that Game Hut channel knew all the secrets behind every console they had him making games on. Yeah, RE4 was GameCube exclusive, only for a couple of months. Genesis version being better might have just been the dev making a mistake, kind of stupid. Look, we love the Genesis. Leave me alone.
So it looked better than anything else of their competition, and an innovative controller that allowed better games to be developed.
No, TurboGrafx 16 looked kind of better. Maybe look, games like Bomberman and TurboGrafx 16. I really love the sprites of classic old school Bomberman. I don't know. I think TurboGrafx may have something on SNES.
Right? Can you tell me one game developed for Switch that's better because it was developed for Switch?
Okay, Saru, what did he mean by this? Like, I had to replay this. I don't know what he's fucking talking about. Better hardware does not mean better games. That's exactly. I said that earlier. If they just replicate the specs of their competitors, Saru, what is DSP's incentive to then get a Switch? The software? But he already doesn't play Nintendo first-party games anyway. I think he's gonna play Paper Mario, but something could easily happen that'll cause him to skip it.
And an innovative controller that allowed better games to be developed.
Oh, exactly. That's the ultimate point, Golem. DSP will never take an L. Semantics, whatever you argue is semantics, and you're just trying for a gotcha moment.
Right? Can you tell me one game developed for Switch? One game developed for Switch.
So it doesn't have to be an exclusive then, because a multiplat is a game. A multiplat can be a game that you develop for Switch.
That's better because it was developed for Switch?
It's better because it was developed for Switch. All exclusives are better on Switch because if it wasn't for them being exclusive, they wouldn't exist, first of all. What else? Multiplat better. It's better because it was developed for the Switch. Some multiplats get Switch exclusive content. I know his real argument here is power and performance, but I'm trying to debunk him. But it's just such a nonsensical question. It feels disingenuous to even approach it from an honest angle, because this feels utterly dishonest. Like he either can't word his question or his critique, or he's just being dishonest on purpose. I know Chad doesn't show up for Nintendo games, Dwight, and he said that before. So why doesn't he just say it now? Just say you don't give a fuck because because the Nintendo games don't bring the people, they don't bring the money. I'll understand. I'll get it. Sure, I'll cry, but I'll probably get over it in a week. Big ups Peaches for the poll. What is the DSP's current favorite console? We have the Switch, the Series X, and the PS5. You can vote in the poll now.
And anyone, literally, can you put your hand up and say, oh yeah, well this game is Switch exclusive and it's really good because it was on Switch?
Okay, so he's not talking about multiplats, he's talking about exclusives. What Switch exclusives are on the Switch and they're better because they're only on the Switch? So when he says this, does he means like, is he trying to say Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet would be better if they were just on the PS5? Just put them on the PS5. They'll be better. They're not good because they were developed on the Switch. They're good games, but if they were just on my PS5, it would be so much better. Again, it reminded me of his old Hate Live, where he had that picture up of Mario 3D World for the PS4 because he sincerely thought that Nintendo was going to stop making consoles, which I was reminded of because earlier in this stream, he's talking about how he wishes they just stopped making consoles. It'd be more of a surprise and then just announcing the Switch too.
No. Nintendo has lost their way when it comes to what they're good at.
How? This Praga better not whip out the amiibo. About this fucking dingus to shove down your throat.
Gimmicks are not. They need to innovate to make better gameplay experiences, not just say, oh, we don't do what everyone else.
I would say the Wii U was a gimmick at first, and then what the Switch evolved, the Switch evolving from that was innovation. Because again, in all my years of owning a Switch since 2018, all the way up to just before I started streaming, I only ever played the Switch in handheld and tabletop. Never mind all of Japan. All of Japan, they massively prefer handheld gaming to console gaming. And I'm sure other people too, like whether you're like a rinky-dink kid playing on the playground or you're like a guy in a college campus, yeah, there are benefits to the handheld gameplay. But because he doesn't go anywhere, he can't understand this.
Does. So here's an underpowered console that has a finicky, wonky thing
that
we can claim as a gimmick. That's cool. When you know, in reality, I think what people would rather happen is have better games, right? And
we didn't have better games, right? You better tell me specifically what you want for the Switch 2. Me and Sarah went back and forth in the call today about what we would like to see, specifically what we would like to see for the Switch 2's lineup. This Fraga better specifically describe to me right now what specific games Nintendo needs to make. Specifically, franchise, IP, if it's a new IP, what genre. You need to tell me right now what you want to see for the Switch 2. Because what the fuck did they deliver right now during the Switch's lifespan? What do they have out right now that... How is there not anything out right now that has not impressed you in the least? Like, I don't believe that. This dude talks about Mario Odyssey all the fucking time. That was like the best fucking game for the Switch. It's the best Mario game in a long time. Why haven't they made Mario Odyssey 2? Does that game not matter anymore? What the fuck?
To say it, right now, my Switch is gathering dust and has been for quite some time. Last few years, right?
Because you skip every Switch first-party game. It's just the reality of it. If you play a third-party or multi-plat game, you're just going to play it on the other consoles, which is fine. It's understandable. I didn't want to buy the crab game on the Switch because even though I love my Switch, I understand the limitations of the console and that it's more worthwhile for the first-party games that they make. My Switch has purpose and meaning to me because I like Nintendo games, and you can't get those anywhere else legally. So of course I'm going to use my Switch to play first-party games almost exclusively. But if you're this guy and you don't play Switch first-party games, of course your Switch is going to gather dust. Again, it's just a natural result of you not buying Nintendo games.
Maybe we turn that sucker on 2 times, 3 times a year tops.
Tops.
While the other consoles are constantly being used, right? It's sad. Like, there's nothing to play on that dang thing. Yet they say, oh, it's the best-selling console. I don't care.
You don't care about objective sales? You literally don't care?
Console, if there's no good games to play on it, it doesn't matter.
There are good games. You skip them all. You either skip them all or they're not as good as you wanted them to be, which is whatever. It's your opinion. But to say that there's no good games on, like, you just dismissed the whole library. I don't care. Yeah, the only reason there's dust on it is because he doesn't clean his room. I like that self. That was a real self-felt right there. It's gathering dust. Yeah, it's gathering dust because your fucking wife never cleans. Remember when he would do the daily, not the daily, the Wednesday office disinfecting during peak COVID? What happened to that?
You know, just because people who aren't mainstream gamers and aren't people who play games all the time casually bought your console in droves just like they did the Wii, doesn't mean
the casual cope doesn't work anymore because we just got the quarterly sales. The games are still selling. Even the games that aren't like the casual shit. Like, if you want the hard truth, Nintendo Switch Sports didn't sell anywhere near as good as Wii Sports. But the hardcore, like the core games that they put out, the core first-party games, are still selling. So this casual cope, I don't know where it's coming from. I bet he thinks it's still like the Wii era, where it's like the only reason it sold well is because it appealed to casuals who don't normally play games. I hate to break it to you, Phil, but that crowd has come and go. They've moved on to mobile games. He thinks like everyone, 80% of people who ever bought the Switch are just this the same Wii casual market. That market's gone. They moved on to mobile gaming. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about here. The software sale, again, you want to say you don't care about sales? The software sales show the core games are still selling. Like, I'm sorry, it's just pure cope to say that it's just casuals, because the core games that aren't meant for the casual market are still selling bangers.
That the console has done anything for the games industry.
Wait, what?
That the console has done anything for your console in droves just like they did the Wii doesn't mean that the console has done anything for the games industry.
Are you crazy? Breath of the Wild like changed the perspective of how like every fucking developer develops open world games now. And like it changed the games industry. Like, what do you mean by that? Like inspire, innovate, like what the fuck? The Steam Deck? How many fucking tablets have come out that like ate the Switch since the release of the Switch? The PlayStation Portal? All those Nvidia fucking tablets? It literally did inspire like other things in the industry. Both the games, the library of games, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, like hallmark titles that like revolutionized the genre, the genre that they're in.
So,
the hardware inspiring direct copycats.
Yeah, I am sad at Nintendo's track record, and I would hope that with the new console they will turn things around.
What exclusives are on PS5 that make it a must-have console? I hope someone asks him this. I don't think anyone's gonna ask him this, but I hope someone asks him that. Like, what games make a PS5 worth owning? I'm looking at my library right now. The only exclusive I have was Ratchet & Clank, and that's on PC now. Why the fuck did I own a PS5? Why do I own a PS5? Why? Just so I can play my PS5 is for my multiplats that I don't want to play on the Switch? I guess so. Only reason I didn't get a Switch is because I didn't have any friends playing Nintendo. But now I know people that do so. I plan on getting the next Switch. Yeah, the Switch was popular, man. I would say at this point, yeah, go ahead and wait on the next Switch, because we're getting down. This is like the last year of it. Next Switch is going to be out next year. From the speculation on the timeline I was looking at, me and Saru, it seems like with what they said, I think it's going to be, if not identical, probably similar to the timeline of the first Switch. Like, they're permanently just kind of fucked out of the rhythm that PlayStation and Xbox are on when it comes to like releasing consoles, just because they had to get the Switch out just because of how bad the Wii U was doing. So now we're kind of like in this weird kind of timeline where instead of releasing shit in the fall, we're releasing shit in the spring. And again, they said within a fiscal year, so that's before the end of next March.
Any kind of confidence? No. However,
dude, I bet you Peaches, the reason he didn't bring up the PlayStation Portal is because he didn't even think about it. Motherfucker already forgot about it.
I will say this. We may finally get new titles we've been waiting for. How about an actual new Mario Kart game? For the first time in like a decade. That would be nice. How about a new Mario?
Oh yeah, he'd be so hyped for that. He'd play like all the courses, and then never do a community night. He'll be done with it in a week. This dude has only experienced 1/3 of all the content in Mario Kart 8. 1/3. That's a very charitable 1/3 too. He played Mario Kart 8 vanilla on the Wii U. Before even the Wii U DLC. He played it once, probably like in a day. Alright, I'm done. I don't need to go back to that ever again. Just skips the Wii U DLC, skips the Switch stuff, or the new stuff added to the Switch version, skips all the Switch DLC tracks. 2/3 of content he has never experienced. Now, I already know what it is. I phrase that soon. Yeah, play it on 50cc and drop it. I've already completed the game. I already know what it is.
Mario. We didn't have a new Mario since the launch of the Switch in 2017. That's a 3D Mario. And Odyssey was amazing.
What?
Okay, we've been waiting for. How about an actual new Mario Kart game? For the first time in like a decade. That would be nice. How about a new Mario? We didn't have a new Mario since the launch of the
Okay, I was mixing that up with the Mario Kart thing.
Switch in 2017. That's a 3D Mario. And
Don't you think that's because they're working on it right now? You know, it takes a while to make a game. I forgot Bowser's Fury. I mean, that was like a whole game within a game.
Odyssey was amazing. You know, I would like to have better.
This dude still seems that Breath of the Wild got the Game of the Year award for 2017 over Mario Odyssey.
First-party games at this point that we're really getting. 1 or 2 a year is not enough, and now we're at the point where
1 or
like
2,
nothing.
really?
Like what exactly is coming
Fucking
out? Well, we're gonna
pathetic.
find out in June.
1
That's what
or
he's saying
2.
here. This direct in June essentially is going to explain the final life.
That's crazy that he says 1 or 2 when a direct last year announced fucking Mario RPG, Mario Wonder, Luigi's Mansion 2. It was the first time we saw Princess Peach Showtime. It dropped the Pikmin remasters. We got more information on Pikmin 4. That was like a goated direct all around to the point that even DS fucking P couldn't complain about it. That's more than 1 or 2 games just right there off the top of my head.
Cycle.
Oh, and the Wario game.
Was of the Switch. You know. The Switch wasn't a bad console in my opinion, but man, to me, it just didn't feel like important or special. For a lot of people, I guess it was. For them, it was their generation's Wii. But for me, it was just like,
meh.
Eh. So some games were beautiful on it, you know? And that's the sad part. Is like I said, Mario Odyssey ran superbly good on it. So it doesn't explain why games like Breath of the Wild or the recent Pokemon Scarlet and Violet run absolutely horribly on it. It just doesn't even seem to make much sense. I don't know.
Yeah, he's gonna walk this back when he pretends to be a fan of Thousand Year Door. Again, it's like his favorite GameCube game. Says the guy who's never finished it. I'm gonna love to see him walk all this shit back and talk about how like he's such a big Nintendo fan. And I can't wait for it to get no tips. And then he starts talking about how Nintendo games don't do well on his channel and also RPG overload.
So I hope whatever they come out with.
I almost want to go through every first party Nintendo Switch release. And I want to actually like look at all that and see how many games he's played. Like from every, I want to like on a year, like give me 2017, all first party releases. And then like I just mark it with a check if he did a playthrough of it. And I just want to see like, what's the ratio? What's the percentage there of Nintendo's first party output that DSP actually played? I would be curious to know, because this dude just told you he doesn't play more than 1 or 2 Switch games a year, which is just an outright lie.
Will be a better piece of hardware that people can develop for and actually have games run better, but we know Nintendo, right? At this point, you would be kind of fooling yourself to think that what next console they put out will actually be powerful. Okay,
I'm baffled that he's even still interested in the concept of a Switch 2. I'm baffled still that he actually plans on buying it. If I like had this opinion about Nintendo and if it really meant that much to me, wouldn't I, like, if I felt this way, wouldn't I just not buy the Switch 2? Why are you still consuming Nintendo stuff if this is how you genuinely feel about it? What happened to putting your money where your mouth is? But with your wallet? Guess not. Big up Steady B on the 35 stream streak. That's what I said, Mr. Pun. If he really feels like this, if he for real, if he feels like this, don't buy Nintendo games. Like real talk, just don't buy them. Fuck it. Stick to your guns. Isn't this the guy who likes to lay down the law and shit? Just don't buy the Switch 2. Protest.
Okay, guys.
They don't work on your channel anyway.
The main event of the news today. It is so sad. It is very upsetting.
Tears down my eyes.
I'm just gonna forewarn you all. All right. Oh wait, no, it's not. There's another story. I'm sorry.
Oh
There's
my god.
one more story. This is what I mean. Like today had so much news.
News.
Guess what? Do you remember that story that I talked about a few weeks ago? That the United States government has passed a law, and President Biden signed it into law, stating that TikTok, that's right, the social media app that all the kiddies are into, owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. All right. Essentially, is going to be outlawed in the United States and blocked as of January of 2025 unless the company is divested. What that means
Divested.
is that our government
need to
is
talk to
legally
Cynthia G?
forcing this company to be sold off to a non-Chinese company, or else they're just going to block it. All right? Now you might say, I don't get it. Why? Here we go. Here's the actual reasoning. U.S. lawmakers from both parties, both Republican and Democrat, as well as administration and law enforcement officials, have expressed concerns that Chinese authorities could force ByteDance to hand over U.S. user data or sway public opinion by manipulating the algorithm that populates users'
Dude, don't
feeds.
use TikTok
Some have
anyway.
also
Why does
pointed
he
to a
care?
Rutgers University study that maintains TikTok content was being amplified or underrepresented.
It's a real weird
based on how it aligns
conservative
with the
moment
interests
right
of the
here.
Chinese government,
Do you use
which the company
politics?
disputes. So what's going on? The U.S. government is saying because TikTok is owned by the Chinese,
DSP is going to be on Tim Pool's
the
podcast
Chinese
before you know
government
it.
is not like us. They regularly interfere in the lives of their citizens and regularly interfere in how the companies act and are controlled. And they're afraid that the Chinese government at any moment could go, give us all the data and manipulate the data to make a narrative true on your app. Apparently that's not allowed in companies outside of China, but apparently in China it's okay, or at least that's what our government is insinuating. Okay? So why am I bringing this up today?
Why?
Because guess what?
Guess what?
TikTok
Wrong.
is suing the United States government. It is official. They
What?
filed their lawsuit. Here's what they're saying, okay? This is from a local news station, K5 News article, so I will be reading from it just to give credit where credit is due. The popular
Big ups
social video
DSP on
company
giving credit.
alleged that the law, which President Joe Biden signed into law as part of a larger $95 billion foreign aid package, is so obviously unconstitutional.
What does that have to do with gaming?
sponsors of the
I'm waiting for
Protecting
like when the
Americans from
gaming
Foreign Adversary
crossover
Control
is going to take
Applications
place.
Act
Where's
are
the
trying to
intersection
portray-
here?
Portray this law not as a ban, but as a regulation of TikTok's ownership. The law requires TikTok's parent ByteDance to sell the platform within 9 months. If a sale's in progress, then they'll get an additional 3 months to finish it. But
Yeah, I thought we told
ByteDance
1
has
Minute
said
Man to
it doesn't
kick
have
rocks if
any
he wanted to talk
plans
about
sell
politics.
TikTok. Even if it wanted to divest, the company would have to get a blessing from Beijing, hence the Chinese government we were just talking about, which previously opposed a
Yeah, nobody
forced
knows
sale of the
Beijing is in
platform
China.
and has signaled
Fans are just
its
that
opposition
dented.
this time around. TikTok and ByteDance argued in the lawsuit it really isn't being given a choice. The qualified divestiture demanded by the act to allow TikTok to continue operating in the United States is simply not possible. It's not commercially, not technologically, and not legally, they're saying. Okay?
Right. Okay.
So
All right.
that's what's going on. So if this company is not sold off by, I think they said like the end of September, October, something like that, then it will literally be banned in the United States as of January.
Thank God.
Okay.
My nieces can stop
we
using
already
it.
talked about this.
They're not getting any smarter
So-
looking at TikTok. But
Let's get rid of this guy. So
all right, I just
yes,
get a ban.
What's gonna happen here? I don't know. Sounds to me like they're gonna get banned because I don't think ByteDance is gonna sell. We already talked about this. That this company is worldwide. It's not just American. This is a company that in China it's big, in Europe it's big.
These
in other
policies going to
countries
rule.
outside the
Imagine a
US, it's big.
1980s Phil
TikTok
email.
is a worldwide,
Why would I use
very
that when
popular
faxes
app.
already exist?
If the United States government says you must sell because we don't trust the Chinese government, you know what they're gonna say? Well, fuck off then. You just can't use it. If anything, they might just ban Americans from using it, right?
I'm down for that.
I don't know. To me, here's the thing. To me, it's not big news. To a lot of people, apparently it is. I guess TikTok is huge. It's something that's used by tons of people, and they see it like culture will change if people in America can't use TikTok. I mean, there's entire content creators that make all their content on TikTok, and they're not going to be allowed to anymore.
Oh well, learn the code.
Anyway, one other news story before we
Your
get to the
Theo
big
Theory
one.
Cat uses TikTok. I can
Bob
see it.
Iger, the current
Cat's
CEO
got like a
of
secret
Disney,
account.
has announced
Doesn't
that
even
Marvel
have a
Studios
proper
are now
avatar.
going to reduce
She's like
their
a
output of
she's like a
content.
sock in
There will only
DSP
be
chat.
2
She
to
lazy
3
even put a
Marvel movies
avatar
released
on.
in a year, and
Makes
only
people
2 TV
makes it
shows
harder
per
for people
year,
to find her.
period. Well, it's about damn time. Because let me tell you,
DSP
when they keep
gaming?
releasing spin-off
DSP
shows of some
gaming?
character I've never heard
DSP
of or don't
gaming?
care about, right? It's like, well, it's about goddamn time you know, maybe we didn't need that 17th Marvel movie of crap that no one cares about, right?
You don't even know what. Well, you generally don't even know what they're coming out with right now because you just care that little.
Like
so why is this a segment on your
there.
show?
It's about time. And you know, maybe that will actually fix it, because right now I do feel like we have insane amounts of oversaturation in Marvel content. And that's a problem, right? Like, that's literally a problem. People just aren't going to the movies to watch Marvel movies that much anymore. It's, you know, it's funny because he says we're going to do 2 to 3 Marvel movies a year. Like, literally, that's the amount of movies that people go to see out of the 10 that we're releasing. 2 to 3 would do well, and then the other 7 would be shitty and fail, and no one would care about them, right? Excuse me.
Thank you for that.
So,
he's not wrong,
yeah.
but it's a very boring
happy
observation that's not unique to Phil in particular, so I can't say I'm too impressed with him saying that.
You know. Now, what's next? Star Wars? Because I
Such
think Star
insight
Wars is
into the
also
movie
kinda
industry,
oversaturating
DSP.
with their 100 TV shows that they're releasing. So I guess we'll see. Okay.
Disney's fans and shareholders are upset with them. Stop the presses.
Big news. Are you ready? I've been trying. If you haven't noticed, I've been trying to
delay
talking about it. I'm
yeah, I can tell.
upset.
I can tell, man.
Breaking
Trying to talk about
news.
everything else in the
Microsoft
fucking world,
is
but what we come here for.
Multiple game developers this morning. Okay.
Okay.
4, I believe.
Right. I bet he doesn't even talk about all
yeah,
4.
Here we go. Here's the 4 that are closing. Arcane Austin. And Arcane Austin is
they made Redfall in his favorite game, Deathloop.
Massive failure, Redfall.
So all the shills, all the journo shills were saying Deathloop was Game of the Year 2021. It wasn't.
So they were a company that was working exclusively on
no,
Elder Scrolls Online.
Incorrect.
They're getting laid off. Alpha Dog, who's made Mighty Doom. If you don't remember, that was the game that was like Doom with like the cutesy characters or whatever. And I think that was, I don't know if we ever hit consoles, but I think it was a mobile game. And now here's the big one, the one that everyone is like, what? Are you ready? Tango Gameworks, the makers of the recent actual smash hit.
Actual smash hit. Oh, Evil Within as well.
What?
Yeah, it didn't sell. You know why it didn't sell? Because it was on Game Pass.
They just made a hit game.
You didn't pay for that game,
Remember?
DSP. You got it for free.
The game that everyone was
and you were
talking
already
about
on the
last
fence
year
about playing it to
no
begin
one
with.
even knew it existed.
So imagine how the
And then
common
they dropped
normie
it on
gamer
Game
felt
Pass.
about that
I think it
game.
was
How did they
February
feel about the game?
2023.
They probably didn't even know it
People played
existed
and
because
were
they didn't do any
like,
marketing
"Whoa, this
for it. They
game
just
is
shadow dropped
seriously
it.
good." So if this is
They
an
shadow
idea
dropped
what
the 10 out of
Tango
10,
Gameworks can do,
and
this is
everyone was
amazing.
wowed by that.
The
Wow,
game
they just
actually
shadow
won
dropped the 10 out of 10 out of
awards.
nowhere. Okay, but there's ramifications with that, moron. Wow, bravo, Phil Spencer. You dropped the 10 out of 10 game and rocked the world, but you didn't market it. Now it's fucking like your studio's fucking dead.
For sound design and all kinds of stuff. They're lighting the studio up. Now, to be fair, Tango Gameworks also made The Evil Within 1 and 2.
What's wild
And
is that he
Hi-Fi
still
Rush
complains
was
about
actually
Game
a
Pass from time to time
departure
as a concept,
for
but he
them
obviously
from
benefits
their
from it, so
usual
like how
formula
far
of
can those
content that
complaints
they
really
make.
go?
The Evil Within 1 was a smash hit success. Of course, at that point, if you remember, Shinji Mikami was still working for the company. It was his company to begin with, and it was supposed to be his own edition of a Resident Evil game. It did very well, and then it led them to make a sequel. However, what happened with Evil Within 2, I feel, is probably one of those sad, really infamous mismanagement stories that you hear in the game industry. So Evil Within 2 dramatically improved upon the original game in every way. The graphics were better, the gameplay elements and controls were better, the game opened up and wasn't just
can't say
linear
if most
like the
people
first
agree with
game,
this
but
take
instead
here.
had many
I never
open
played
areas
it.
you could explore with optional side quests and content. And overall, the plot was better and had a definitive and fun ending. What happened with it?
I would hope. I would hope a game has an ending. I would hope it's
unlike Evil Within 1, where you saw
definitive.
ads everywhere in the stores, on TV, online. There was almost no marketing whatsoever for Evil Within 2. No one even knew it was coming out, besides those following game release schedules. And so when it came out, everyone was like, huh? I didn't even know that was out. And then I played it, I was blown away at how good it was, and sadly, no one knew about it. Like, people were learning about the game by coming to my streams. And I was like,
really?
what?
I don't know about that.
You know, I don't know what happened. Why they?
I knew about Evil Within 2. I wasn't even really playing that or new gen games by then. I knew Evil Within 2 existed.
They just thought it was gonna do good.
What the fuck is he talking about?
You know,
people discovered the existence of Evil Within 2 by going to my stream.
Then remember, the next game that they made was Ghostwire Tokyo, and if you remember, Ghostwire Tokyo originally actually was supposed to be Evil Within 3, but then got changed into a totally different project about halfway through, redesigned to be a first-person ghost hunting game. And personally, I think visually
I remember
it's
seeing
nice,
stuff for Evil
and the
Within
story
2.
is interesting. It just gets far too repetitive once you get about halfway into the game.
I'll agree that Hi-Fi Rush wasn't marketed.
Offers in the new game.
The marketing was it getting shadow dropped and being a 10 out of 10 game.
But I mean, anytime.
But I never saw any real commercials for that.
That you hear.
I remember seeing Evil Within 2 commercials.
All right, but this is what, the 6th or 7th time in the last 4 months that we have heard of this happening in the games industry. And is it just me, or are we seeing a pattern now? Since Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard, they just keep doing layoffs after layoffs after layoffs after layoffs.
When company buyouts happen and mergers occur,
have a lot to say.
There's a lot of company mergers and layoffs and all that. Interesting.
First of all, FYI, Redfall is completely done. After the game only about being out for about 1 year, all production has been halted. Redfall's previous update is
Did you want to take the L on that and continue making the content they promised to deliver that nobody was going to play anyway?
However, there was a planned DLC that people already paid for in kind of a seasonal package, and Microsoft is claiming they're going to
This is so fucking lame how he's trying to you're not allowed to fire or lay off anybody ever because it's like so bad and hurtful.
I have no idea, but
every layoff is just inherently bad.
Let this be a cautionary tale.
This guy wants to talk about reality, cautionary tales, and how the world works. Well, you know what happens in the world, DSP? Sometimes you get laid off.
Companies can do whatever they want.
You'd be able to relate to that more than anyone.
Budgets, fire and lay off people, and the next thing you know, you got latched into seasonal content that ain't even gonna exist, right? Like that's ridiculous. They didn't even let them finish the DLC as promised by the original sales of the game. So that's really sad.
Yeah, DSP did skip Redfall, so why can't he? Well, look, DSP look. He probably didn't contribute to the company's closing, but you know what? He didn't help by not playing the game.
The guy who's the overall head of Arcane.
That's right, DSP. You have responsibility in this. I'm blaming you.
Oh, here it is. Dinga Bakaba. He's the actual head of Arcane Studios, all right?
Isn't that what Eddie B calls me?
On social media.
Oh, my lord.
And actually posted up things that people never expected that the head of a studio would post. Here's what he posted word for word. This is absolutely terrible. Permission to be human. To any executive who may be reading this, a friendly reminder that video games are an entertainment and cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you.
Oh, that brings tears to my eyes, man.
Gold fever gambits. Don't use us as straw men for miscalculations and blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Well, make us proud when these times are tough. We know you can because we've seen it before. That is scathing. He's outright saying that management essentially don't know what the fuck they're doing at Microsoft.
Wow, they say that thing you say every day on the pre-stream. Oh my god, Nostradamus here.
Right? Don't throw us into gold fever gambits, right? Hey, this
you use big words and you can just astound DSP. Oh my god. Right? He's spitting truth here, dude.
Don't use us as strawmen for miscalculation and blind spots. Right. If you're the management of a major
you're the one
company, and you put your eggs in a basket and it doesn't sell, whose fault was that? You're the one who told those fucking people to make that game. Right? I hearken this back, all right, to EA.
Yeah, swollen underscore dinka.
The Mass Effect developer BioWare making Anthem.
Okay, I really want to get a refill. I'm gonna be quick about it. I'll give myself a couple seconds. I'm gonna rewind.
Then remember, the next game that they made was Ghostwire Tokyo. And if you remember, Ghostwire Tokyo originally was supposed to be Evil Within 3, but then got changed into a totally different project about halfway through, redesigned to be a first-person ghost hunting game. And personally, I think visually it's nice and the story is interesting. It just gets far too repetitive. Once you get about halfway into the game, it loses its steam because there's nothing else the game offers in the new gameplay department. But I mean, anytime, all right, that you hear of studios closing, you're sad, all right? But this is what, the 6th or 7th time in the last 4 months that we have heard of this happening in the games industry. And is it just me, or are we seeing a pattern now? Since Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard, they just keep doing layoffs after layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. Okay? So by the way, a lot of people have a lot to say about this. First of all, FYI, Redfall is completely done. After the game only being out for about 1 year, all production has been halted. Redfall,
did they promise anything with Redfall? Like any content that's just not going to be delivered?
On the game,
they did that with
online for players to enjoy. However,
Final Fantasy 15? No, the one with the boy band. They promised DLC, but ultimately couldn't deliver all of it.
And Microsoft is claiming they're going to do a make good offer to make up for the fact that the DLC will never exist. What that will be, I have no idea.
Just give them like 2,000 Microsoft points.
Let this be a cautionary tale. Do not buy these season passes, because at any moment now, it seems like these game companies can do whatever they want, slash budgets, fire and lay off people, and the next thing you know, you got latched into seasonal content that ain't even gonna exist, right? Like, that's ridiculous. They didn't even let them finish the DLC as promised by the original sales of the game.
Wow, DSP, you didn't even promise, you didn't even finish and deliver all of Project really 7, despite the sales of the Patreon or whatever the fuck.
So, people all over the internet are speaking up about this. First of all, the guy who's the overall head of Arcane.
Yeah, he buys deluxe versions of games all the time. Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, Hogwarts, Like a Dragon, Infinite Well.
Bakaba.
Yeah,
he's the actual head of Arcane Studios.
Guy.
All right.
I'm the one.
Went on social media.
If we got guys named Dinga in charge of game companies, maybe they do need to be closed down.
Here's what he posted word for word. This is absolutely terrible. Permission to be human. Any executive
sounds like something DSP would say, permission to be human. No wonder he loved this tweet. It spoke to him deeply.
And your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value.
It spoke to him on a spiritual level.
Don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as straw men for miscalculations and blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Well, make us proud when these times are tough. We know you can because we've seen it before. That is scathing. He's outright saying
a guy who got fired is emotional.
Essentially, don't know what the fuck they're doing at Microsoft. They have absolutely no idea how to run the company.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said, Phil.
Just listen to what he said, right? Don't throw us into gold fever gambits, right? Hey, this game's gonna be a gold rush, everyone.
Yes, thank you for your emotional platitudes. Very scathing.
Right?
Microsoft blown the fuck out. I say to rehire everyone right now and apologize.
Right. If you're the management of a major gaming company and you put your eggs in a basket and it doesn't sell, whose fault was that?
They should hire Phil Vernell instead.
Those fucking people to make that game. Right?
Make him the CEO.
I hearken this back.
This dude talking about how he knows how to run a company. Make him the CEO.
The Mass Effect developer BioWare making Anthem. Literally, BioWare told EA, we don't want to make this game. We are not good at cooperative online experiences. We're good at single-player narrative-based games. Let us make.
Okay, well, that's EA. That's not Microsoft. What does this have to do with anything?
To which EA said, no, make this game because it's hot now. They ended up putting out Anthem, and it's the biggest flop they've ever made.
Massive
and now they haven't put out a game in so many years.
Nobody liked it,
right? So what? Essentially,
aren't they working on something new?
Is that management at these companies are making these big gambles on these ads and certain genres. Oh, this will print money for us. This will print money for us. This will print money for us. And then when it doesn't, they blame the developers who were ordered to make the game. You're the ones in charge. You're
I don't know.
The
Did they really say that? Did the EA really just blame the studio?
Literally,
I feel like there's a few embellishments being made here.
Steering wheel driving it into a cliffside, and then blaming his crew. Why did you do that? Captain, you're the one. You have the fucking helm. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like that Eric Andre meme with the gun. Why would EA do this?
Keep going. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. So essentially, survival of the fittest. You know what that means. We all know what's going on in game development.
Oh, you're so smart for understanding that line, DSP.
We know.
I feel so enlightened by you explaining that to me.
They are forced to work insane amounts of hours. They are forced to crunch. And essentially what he's saying is those who are able to do it seem to be getting rewarded, applauded, you know, promoted. And those who are just normal fucking people and want to have a normal job are being basically told, well, survival of the fittest, too bad, right?
Wasn't EA's fault that Anthem was what it was?
So,
wasn't it management at BioWare itself?
This is a big scathing statement. You say that we make you proud.
It was a bit disingenuous to say that it was 100% the publisher's fault.
You can't because we've seen it before. So he's saying is, why is it that when we make something good, you say good job,
everyone at BioWare collectively said they did not want to work on Anthem
or even help us at all when a game goes poorly. Instead, you just lay us off, right? It's kind of fucked up. I agree. Again, do you really think that the people who made Redfall sat there and they said, you know, today we've decided we're going to make a bad game because there's just too many good ones out there? I mean, we've made the
That's how you look at it sometimes. More often than not, that's how he thinks about most game developments.
You know, we made Prey. Those are good games. You know, we made Deathloop.
Yeah, we just want to make a
kind
shitty
of debatable. Game. Critics really liked it. Other people didn't. But at least, you know, it's at least overall
games are team efforts, and it needs to be team efforts.
We're just going to make a turd. We're going to sit down. We're going to put all this time.
We talked about this when we played the crap game. Look at Yandere Dev.
I'm sure that's what they did. I mean, that's what they all.
You have a guy like that who has like all of this wild imagination, so many ideas. He gets felted by his own ego and power creep. Sometimes you need a big publisher telling you what to do, reining you in, a regard wrangler, if you will, so that you don't get too distracted. You don't want to like add Easter eggs every time you get so distracted by something else. Whoa, it's a new anime. Whoa, what if I put an anime Easter egg based off this new show I watched in my fucking game? If the publisher was there, they would tell you that's fucking stupid. And if you do want to put that in, how long is that going to take? Well, what do you have to do to put that into the game? And more importantly, how much money does it cost? This guy thinks the suits are inherently evil, but they're there to make sure that the game production is on schedule. They're there to make sure the world goes round. They don't just count beans. They count beans and determine like how can they continue counting beans for the rest of their life?
Of course, right? In fact, what's funny about that is, if you remember when Redfall came out last year, and everyone knew the game was an unfinished, horrible mess. Okay? Let's be honest here. What is going on, Jasper?
Jasper?
He's standing here staring at me.
What are you doing?
When the game came out, Phil Spencer himself was interviewed, and he said, Phil, you own Bethesda now. Microsoft owns Bethesda. Bethesda owns Arcane. So how did this game come out like this? Everyone, you could play for 5 minutes, you know the game's not done. It's not polished. It's not finished. It's full of bugs. What happened here? And Phil Spencer's response was, you know, maybe we should have the wrong Phil in charge approach with that one.
Hello?
But let me get this straight.
Hello, Dave? All right, there you are.
You bought a company. You dictated they put out a certain amount of games, certain style, and then you literally never checked on any of the projects. You just let them do whatever they wanted with no guidance. That's not what they said. No help. You just said, just
That's not what Phil said, but okay.
Right? Yeah.
It's a very generous paraphrasing there. Very good, Phil
Spencer, the CEO of Xbox Gaming, and the CEO, the guy in charge, says, oh, maybe we should have actually checked in on that one a little bit more. Is this guy a fucking idiot? Does he not understand?
Sounds like he wanted to say something else there.
He's in charge.
He didn't say he never checked in on them.
So when Redfall
he just
comes
said
out,
implied he could have checked in on them more.
Dog shit. It's not finished. It's broken, and everyone in the community is panning it because it's so bad. Should it be Arcane.
DSP doesn't think though. They bought the company and said, "We don't want to fuck up whatever you have going here. Finish the game and we'll move on from there." That sounds very pro-employee. That's probably the sentiment that they were thinking. Like, I'm pretty sure I even read that once from Phil. Like, he was like, "Phil Spencer, Phil, not Dave Burnell, Phil." Pretty sure that's what he said when he picked up all those companies. We were just gonna let them do what they were gonna do. Like, just finish working on what you're working on, and then we'll move on from there with regards to what we want you to specifically make. And that sounded like a good idea at the time, but now in hindsight, it was probably a case more like him talking about that now was probably a case like, oh, well, maybe we should have checked in on them more to see what exactly they were doing. Maybe we could have helped them a bit sooner than, you know, when we actually said we were going to start helping them. You know, no?
Looks bad? No, it should be Phil fucking Spencer that looks bad, because he's the one who's responsible. He's the one in charge. He's the one who's steering the ship. Why did he not know that the game was unfinished? What the fuck does he do all day? Really?
Really?
What do you do?
Really?
You're the CEO of Xbox
Eat
Gaming.
it.
You're not checking on the fucking games your company makes? Then what do you do?
He didn't say that.
I want to know. Anyway.
Yeah, if they had even more oversight, he would just say that they're controlling them.
Bakaba said he's the head of Arcane. He's very, very upset with this decision to basically lay off Arcane Austin. Okay.
When a video does bad on his channel, is that the game doing bad, or is it him doing bad?
Before making Redfall and failing miserably,
he's the one
had actually
driving the ship.
worked on the first Dishonored, and actually developed the 2017 version.
Disturbs me that DSP doesn't understand the role of a CEO. Yeah, the CEO is just supposed to. The CEO alone is just supposed to personally visit the studios of all the studios his company bought. Personally, he's supposed to personally oversee the development of all of those studios and what they're working on.
Really, really well. Tons of content.
And he needs to give equal attention to all of them.
And a lot of different variations in the story depending on your choices.
And then give them all independent advice on what they should be doing. And he needs to have that on the shareholders' desk by next week.
This is now the end of the studio, honestly. Now, here we go. This is just, I gotta say this.
This is fucking hilarious right here, honestly. Ladies and gentlemen.
I wish I could make this up. But
oh boy.
Xbox head of studios,
what else is gonna talk about?
Wrote an internal email to the staff saying the following: "We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games." What fucking games? Right now, realistically.
What game? Okay, what games exist? Dude just said the Switch has like 1 or 2 games a year, and now I'm supposed to hear him talk about how Xbox has no games coming out? Does it just not count as a game? The game doesn't count if it's not exclusive? Is that just what he thinks? But that can't be true, because there's so many Nintendo first-party games that he skips that are also exclusive. So, like, what? It needs to fit within his own personal headcanon, fan fiction guidelines, or it doesn't count as a game. Tell me about all those PS5 exclusives, Dave.
Can you say, anyone out there who follows the gaming industry,
raise your hand.
What are the big games that Microsoft is making right now? Can you name a single fucking game?
An Indiana Jones game?
That failed.
There's a new Gears coming out.
We haven't heard from that in years, and the last one was good.
Okay, but just like the Switch 2, we haven't heard about it officially, but we know it's in fucking development, you fucking moron. What else are they gonna be doing? Perfect Dark? Elder Scrolls?
But it's certainly not what it used to be in the original trilogy, right?
Oh, it doesn't count. Look at that! Look at that! You just said you can name the game and he just says it doesn't count.
A huge failure and flop, and no one fucking likes it, right? Like, what are they talking about?
You can name games, but just because they don't meet his arbitrary classification of what counts as like a real game, it just doesn't count.
What fucking game?
What about the Fallout 3 remaster?
Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, the Bethesda
no idea when it's coming out, and you have no idea of any time frame we have no information about? What the fuck is he talking about? We're laying off.
Evidently a lot more stuff than you know about.
You don't have any big games.
How do you know that? He knows more than you! He's literally at the head of Xbox or something! Well, he's talking about Matt guy now, not Phil guy. He's like the top guy at Xbox! I think he knows a lot more about what's in development than you.
You are the head of Xbox?
It probably is lip service. But I guarantee he knows more about like unannounced shit than right now DSP knows. But DSP wants to act like he knows everything. There's no way he can possibly know what's in development if it hasn't been announced. If he's implying that new games are in development and they just haven't been announced yet, then they're in development and haven't been announced yet. And he literally knows more than you. You cannot challenge him on this. There's nothing to confront here. He's having a moment.
Studios, and you have no fucking games. You are an idiot. You are inept at what you do.
The games don't count because we don't know that they exist.
That email.
Yet we know the Switch 2 exists, and you announcing it doesn't count because we already knew it existed from rumors and bullshit. Huh?
Really?
Really?
In fact, I'm going to say this, and you can quote me on this, and you can go ahead and clip this clip. All right? When these things are now happening,
you can
it's
clip
one
it.
thing if there's one round of layoffs. This is what.
Does he think that this is why like people clip him for this shit? I'm sure people did clip this, but it's weird that he's like, you can clip this, motherfucker. No, I think people prefer, like, in terms of prioritizing what you want to clip from him, don't you think the begging takes a priority here? Yes, this is what people want to clip. The DSPN gaming news segment.
Third,
not the begging, not the crying and whining and banning of people and lousy gameplay moments. No, they want to hear DSPN gaming news. You can clip this, motherfucker. Yes, thank you for the clip baiting.
Okay, since Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, it's at this point becoming very clear that Microsoft was not ready to buy Activision Blizzard. Because if you're buying a giant company, you don't then lay off the equivalent number of employees from your existing company to make room for them. This is in.
What did he say? What? Equivalent number?
Becoming
it's
very
not a puzzle
clear
piece.
That Microsoft was not ready to buy Activision Blizzard. Because if you're buying a giant company, you don't then lay off the equivalent number of employees from your existing.
Layoffs happen and mergers happen. This shit like this happens. Peaches was just saying, development of a game finishes. Okay, if you're the contracted people, okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye, contractors. People who are only employed for the development of that particular project. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. You don't hear about that shit, though.
Company to make room for them.
Yeah, DSP was rallying for the purchase too. He was having wine segments every fucking week about how he was annoyed. He was annoyed that the purchase was being stalled by the UK or whatever the fuck.
This is insanely bad management. All right? If you're going to make...
How is it bad management? Like, there's only a... You can't just have infinite employees. There's a finite amount of employees you can have. If you have too many employees, you gotta cut the fat. You gotta trim the fat. I'm sorry. It's just how it works. Learn to code.
Incredible acquisition like that, you have to be ready for it. If you
go volunteer for Yonder,
you weren't ready for it, and now all these people are losing their jobs.
Everyone needs to be employed all the time, and nobody can be fired ever. Nobody can be laid off ever.
Should be losing their jobs.
If these devs are so talented, I'm sure they'll be picked up by another studio. It really ain't that serious. Just go to fucking LinkedIn. I don't know.
People in management. Phil Spencer,
so fucking short-sighted. You can't see the forest with the trees at all.
Executives who championed the Activision Blizzard acquisition.
You were one of them. You cried every fucking week because it wouldn't go through.
Besides laying people off, they should be the next on the chopping block.
No.
Immediately they should lose their jobs, and they should have people who actually know what the fuck they're doing move in to right the ship. Because right now you got Captain Phil Spencer and first in command Matt Booty, and they literally have one hand on each side of the fucking wheel driving the ship into the cliffside, and fucking splinters of wood are shooting everywhere, and everyone's boat's capsizing, and everyone's abandoning
you were entitled to a job because you exist.
Oh, well, just keep them in charge. That's fine. In fact, give them another boat. Buy another boat to put them on.
Let's add that amendment to the Constitution.
Well, are you fucking crazy? They don't know what they're doing.
DSP asked if you're crazy after giving you that schizo fan fiction about Phil Spencer pirating a ship or something.
The problem is, people like Phil Spencer.
What job does a navigator have? Ask Nami.
Charismatic, right? Phil Spencer's a charismatic dude. When you see him and he's wearing not a suit and tie, but he's wearing a cool jacket and a t-shirt. He looks like one of us. He's a gamer bro, right? So you get that mentality.
He used to wear gamer shirts like that too.
You game with, and you like the guy. It doesn't matter though. He's a horrible leader. So is Matt Booty writing this insane fucking email that literally has no factual basis. You have no big games to put your time and efforts into, you fucking moron. So
They're like, I don't even know what, like, there are factually games we know about that aren't out yet from Xbox's various studios, and there are apparently, according to the implications from that Matt Booty email, there are games that he knows about that exist that are being worked on. Like, they just factually have games come out. I don't know what to say just because they don't meet his arbitrary guidelines of what counts as a game to him. Like, it has to only be on Xbox, I suppose. But like Xbox just made that announcement that they're gonna have more multiplats on their they're gonna have more multiplats coming out from their studios. So like those games are now no longer Xbox games. They may not be Xbox exclusives, but to say they're no longer Xbox games worked on by Xbox Game Studios, it's just an extremely specific autistic point.
people should not be in charge. It's that simple. We need new blood to jump up.
What's up with the Heil
to
there?
take command of these companies, because right now the Yves Gamos and that evil fucking CEO of EA with his stupid douchey comb over hipster Seattle haircut, and the fucking Phil Spencers and Matt Booties, these guys, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I'm glad you said that, Phil. Because let me hit you with the hard truth. Let me hit you with the real black pill as the mystery dungeon music is at its peak. There was once a company that was in the dirt. They fucked up. They failed. The company hit rock bottom. They made the biggest mistake of their existence. They developed a console that fucking bombed and nobody liked it, including DSP most of all. But you know what happened? You know what happened with this particular company that failed? You know, they turned the ship around since, but they were failing back then. You know what happened? Just so they couldn't lay off any employees, just to prevent them from having to lay off anyone, the CEO took a major pay cut. He took a pay cut just so he wouldn't have to lay off any of his employees. That company was Nintendo. Ah, yes! And the world goes right round. The story circling back to the beginning of the art. Yes! And DSP will just continue to hate them anyway for other various grievances that they've cast upon him. Oh well.
They're the reason the industry is failing. When Phil Spencer is interviewed, and they say, so why are you doing these rounds of layoffs? He says, because the game industry is currently in a decline. Phil, you...
I like how DSP says Nintendo lost their way. Nintendo needs to do better. Nintendo needs to turn it around and come back. Like, bro, that happened. We're living it, man.
Are the game industry. You're in charge of fucking
He acts
Xbox.
like they've still lost their way. We found the way. Where you at, Knuckles?
Fucking quit. Punish yourself, you fucking mouth drooler. You're awful
Iwata
at
did
what
that,
you do.
then he fucking died.
You're ruining gaming because you're inept. Quit.
Then Chibi
Let
held a
someone
funeral
else
for him.
Step up and fix Xbox, because it ain't gonna be you, and it ain't gonna be Corporal Booty. It's got to be somebody else. It's obvious at this point you have no fucking clue what you're doing. Stop ruining things for everyone under you who's a hard worker who deserves a living. And you're taking that away from them because you're making
No,
big
DSP can't help you out with that, with like looking for a new CEO. He's just
You're
like
a games company that doesn't make games.
He's just someone who, like, going back to the Nintendo stuff. DSP never makes specific suggestions on what you need to do. All he does is he's just like, ask for better, demand better, just vaguely demand better, no matter what, all the time. He's like an idea guy who doesn't even have any ideas. He's the least useful person on the ship. If you were to have DSP on the ship, you wouldn't even be able to tell you what he wants. I don't think you could even have this guy for like focus testing or market research. He'd be fucking useless. Yeah, constant question asking and no answers.
I'm a little upset about this topic. I don't know if you guys can tell.
Yeah, I'm upset too, having to listen to this
One
bullshit.
thing's for sure, after today, I don't think anyone's going to call me an Xbot or Xbox fanboy.
You are.
I'm pretty upset, honestly.
Nintendo does things I don't like, but I'm still a Nintendo fan.
I just don't
The
even know
fuck
what's
does
gonna
that
happen
mean?
anymore.
Did he only
You know
do
what I'm
this
saying?
segment because he was upset that people were calling him an Xbot? Well, they were calling him a Sony pony before too, before Ninstar Room sent that Xbox to him.
I just don't even know. How can you even
How do we
exist?
know?
They're literally doing nothing right at all. I don't think that they have done a single correct action in the last like year. And it's continuing, you know.
The sad thing is I think he believes this.
Is Game Pass the problem? Is the insustainability of Game Pass what's really going on here? If that's the case, just fess up and fucking cancel Game Pass and be like, sorry, we fucked up.
Oh no, I don't think you want them to do that.
For gamers,
then you'll have to start buying games again.
We can't keep the company.
We can't have that happen
anymore. We fucked it up bad, right? If that's the case, that's fine. Admit it, right? But I don't know, man. This drives me insane. I don't know why we have these
I think you need to relax and sit down. Like, this isn't your problem to cry about.
Take a look. We had Don Matrick.
None of this involves you.
Don Matrick was not the gamer bro. Don Matrick was the quintessential.
He wants to insist there's no console war, but he's over here acting like he's in the squadron. He's like a lieutenant here. He's like stressing out over shit that doesn't involve him at all. Who the fuck cares?
Silver spoon in the mouth.
I wasn't one of the laid off employees.
Right? Oh, Xbox One. If you don't have an always online connection, we have a console for you. The Xbox 360. Oh, you want to own your games? Too bad.
DSP never forgets. Citing shit from literally a decade ago. But you can't cite DSP shit from a decade ago because it doesn't represent him today.
During the launch of the Xbox One wasn't incorrect. He was just a complete douchebag, scumbag asshole about it. And therefore, that's why people hated him. And that's why Xbox One tanked at launch. It's his fault because he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, Xbox has changed, dude.
Ousted out of the company, and then he went and ruined Zynga.
Xbox is so different from like whatever this shit is he's trying to cite.
But
Don Matrick, first of all, doesn't even work there anymore.
This guy is kind of the antithesis of that. When you look at Phil Spencer, you don't think rich guy. You don't think douchebag, you know, silver spoon in the mouth. But at the same time, is he doing any better, honestly? No. What has he really done? Tell me the positive stuff that Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and these people are doing in charge of Xbox that's, you know, really keeping the company afloat.
I don't know. Aren't you the news reporter here? Aren't you DSPN?
An incredibly popular game in Halo Infinite and then botch it within 4 months and no one plays it anymore, right? It's like every time they have an opportunity for success, they blow it. I just don't get it, right? So, I don't know, man. This is very upsetting to me. Listen, I like Xbox. I like the gaming industry. It's my job as well as my hobby.
I think he sounds like he likes games. Listening to this,
losing their jobs because management doesn't know how to run.
Sounds like he's losing his mind over it.
It makes me very upset.
It's giving him Vietnam flashbacks to the helicopter company. I bet. That's the real reason why he's so insane and off the he's off the hook right now.
And they were on the right track to righting their ship and making better games. You know,
yeah, he sounds stressed. Yeah,
exactly.
go ahead and pet Jasper there.
Phil Spencer currently has no signal. He's on his mega yacht in Belize. He can't hear you. There you go. Well, yes, of course. Bader says, well, Hi-Fi Rush was not financially successful by Microsoft standards. Yes, because they didn't advertise it. Remember what they did? They didn't even announce it. They just shadow dropped the game.
Ah, yes. And finally saying what I was saying an hour ago.
Their discontent with that model after the game launched. They said, we're happy that people are liking it now, but this game was ready like last year, and we don't know why Xbox didn't announce it. Like, they had a perfect opportunity during that Xbox event last year in 2022 to get hype for it and get people excited for it, and they literally just kept the fucking game a complete secret and shadow dropped it in early 2023.
I bet they were testing a new method of releasing games.
Now check it out. So why did you think it would sell?
It didn't pan out, but it got people talking about it.
Within 2, we hope it was a giant seller. Oops,
I think it was just like a new strategy they were trying. Instead of trying to hype these games, just release them.
These are Phil Spencer and Matt Booty.
Again, it didn't work out, but that's just how I see it. Like, I think they were just trying something new.
That's the point I'm trying to make here. Stop punishing the people who work the hardest.
It was a smash hit that didn't sell. Obviously, he means like reception-wise.
People who truly are making the awful decisions at the company day in and day out, over and fucking over at this point. Okay?
Okay.
At this point, and you know, by the way, not just them, you got to look at the heads of the other companies too. The fucking Todd Howards, who they all were banking on Starfield being a giant success, and it is totally not. I mean, it's not a huge failure, but it's definitely not anywhere near the level they thought it was going to get.
You
It is
wanted
not
the drop
culturally
support for that
relevant.
too,
It
like
is not
Redfall?
even in the major discussions of people. when
Stop
it
trying to
comes
fix
big
Starfield. Just
RPGs.
give me a new game.
It's just a flop.
Give me a new $7
you know?
game.
And
I
these
don't
people
care
need to
about
be
your
held
old game. I
accountable
want
for
your
their
new
fucking
game.
actions, and they're not. We have enough people now who have lost their jobs. Thousands of people losing jobs because of a few small people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Why are they still in charge? If you're a shareholder of Xbox, Microsoft, what are you doing? Are you stupid? Do you not understand that these people are dumb and don't know what they're doing? Get them the fuck out. Shareholders have power. Get these motherfuckers out of there. They don't know how to do anything. If I had stock in fucking Xbox, I sure as hell would be trying to get these fuck faces out of there. Jeez. All right, that's enough of me ranting about it today, guys. I knew this was gonna go long because I was. Oh, I can't even. I'm so upset. I can't even click the right screen. Look at this. Where am I? Hold on. Here I am. I'm so upset. I can't even click the right transition. I hate this shit. I hate this industry when this happens. It makes me so upset. These people do not deserve.
He's still going
to be jobless. They don't. These people are hard workers. They're trying to make good stuff.
You don't know any of them personally, but okay.
That's bad. Punish those who are
Yeah,
responsible.
it bums me out too. I hate to hear about layoffs, but that's just how reality works. The reality you talk about so constantly.
This would be like saying McDonald's had a big gambit. They launched a brand new burger. Okay, but the burger was very expensive, the cost, but they were hoping really it was going to be
all the employees of every game studio are just so hardworking. It's always the CEOs that are lazy. There's never been a lazy employee ever.
Did the employees have the idea to make the burger? Did the employees fuck up the making of the burger at any point?
Maybe.
No one just
probably teenagers at that fucking McDonald's that don't know how to work.
Didn't work for McDonald's. Why would you
Actually, in that case, yeah, there probably were employees that didn't know how to make the burger.
What did they do wrong?
Imagine a sandwich
shop.
shop.
Fucking problem. Oh, because we need to have the shareholders get their money. So fire the management who don't deserve it and take their $10 million salaries and give it to the shareholders. Right? Like, what is going on?
Who manages the employees then? Employees need management. I'm not going to back down from this.
And it's not just America. It's
management can be controlling, but you need management. You can't just let the you can't let the creatives run wild. No, fuck off. You can't let creatives run wild. You do that, and you get all these fucking indie spiritual sequels that aspire to be, and they're marketed as, oh, it's a spiritual sequel to that game you liked, and then it comes out and it's not as good as that game you liked. We had that with fucking Back 4 Blood. We had that with Sea of Stars, and some of those games that I mentioned were just pretty good or pretty okay, but they weren't anywhere near. They didn't reach anywhere near the heights of their predecessors. Because it turns out Valve was a lot of the reason why people like Left 4 Dead.
Fire him. Right? What are you? I mean, that's insanity.
You need publishers. You need upper management.
Going to sustain.
Or else, again, you're gonna have Gandary Dev running wild, adding Easter eggs.
When Xbox folds,
getting felted by his own feature creep because he can't fucking control himself.
Phil Spencer will say, "Oh, we're just in a slump." You're the slump.
No, it's a no. The quote is, "You're the one. You're the slump."
Okay. Well, I've ranted and raved enough. It's time for us to get to shout outs. All right, let's get into it. Our first
I thought it looked like he was sweating. I was looking at his shirt. It looked like his armpits were moist.
I have a genuine question. If you commission an artist and their artwork went downhill below your standards,
just the trick of the
when
eye.
You find a different artist? Jordan, that's not the situation. If I hire an artist, okay,
all right,
and I'm trusting on their skill
Is he making
level
a mural for your sandwich shop?
Art, okay, right?
Thank you,
if they don't perform, I understand what you're saying.
I can't believe what I just listened to.
In these cases, these are game studios. They're full-time employees. They're not headhunters or hiring a fucking contractor to come do one piece of the game and the piece of the game malfunctions and then the whole game sucks. That's not the case. The case is entire projects are designed, spearheaded, championed, and put into production by management. The games themselves are management's ideas. You understand? Also, how those games are fully developed, how much money goes in, the budgets, the time, the amount of employees.
DSP will never learn what a headhunter is. He thinks any recruiter is a headhunter. Yeah.
That were great.
And then, like, again, going back to the publisher shit, it's like, when I call them bean counters, okay, well, the suits exist to count the beans, and slap the people downstairs when they're focusing on shit that doesn't make them more beans to count.
Games that were just mismarketed. Hi-Fi Rush had zero marketing. How was it ever going to sell when you never advertised it and you shadow dropped it, right? This is not the situation you're describing. The situation you're describing is so different because you're basically saying you hire an artist, the artist did a bad job, fire the artist. These people didn't necessarily. Hi-Fi Rush
Such
is an outstanding
clickbait title
game,
for this
and they just fired
pre-stream
the whole studio.
podcast. Microsoft closes game studios again?
Redfall
When
is a
will this
bad game.
end?
But literally, Phil Spencer admitted publicly.
Because actually
they
pissing
never
me
looked
off
into
more
it,
than
they
the
just let them do
Nintendo
whatever they
segment.
want.
I'm kind of shocked.
You own the company, you manage the company. If the company is doing something awful, you have to manage them and tell them that. Not just let them do whatever they fuck they want. It's obvious then that they're inept, but then is that the line level person who should be punished for that? No. There's too much of this. In the way that corporate structure works, is that it's set
just
up
fire the
that these
management,
people who
fire
already
the management
are in
all the
positions of
time.
power and rich
Every
fail
employee
and
is
get rewarded
like
for it.
infallible.
Because in the reality,
They've
do you
done
really
nothing
think Phil
wrong.
Spencer this year is going to take a giant pay cut because he had to lay off so many employees? Do you think Matt Booty is going to have to take a pay cut because all these
I
studios
like how
are
this one
closing?
guy just goaded him and they continued talking
Matt
about it,
Booty,
even though he said we were going to go into shoutouts.
Actually, get the name of the studio right. I think it was called Doghead Games, and he called it Doghead
I know he
Studios in
ended
his
with
email.
like
He didn't even know
$0.
the name
No
of the
tips.
company that they
Another
owned
no
that they were
tips
shutting down.
pre-stream, despite all this fire and brimstone.
So there you go.
So much for that bravado.
Let's see here.
Let's see. Hello?
I received
I have received.
a $4.20 tip.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was a $0 pre-stream. What's so fucking felted,
It's
dude?
a troll.
Oh, never mind.
It's a fucking troll. I could just ignore him.
I remember clearly seeing
Okay.
$0
The one
before
tip
you
I got
turned the
today is a
game
troll.
on.
That's great. All right, so guys, I'm done ranting now about this story. I'm very upset about it, obviously.
Who
but I'm done ranting.
cares? Like,
Obviously, a little
dude,
guy like
if
me,
it
I don't have
really
any control over
emotionally
anything. All
gets
I
to
can do is
you,
voice my
go
opinion. I
outside.
hope you enjoy my opinions, even if you don't
Yeah,
agree
okay,
with
my
them.
opinion
I hope
still
you at least
stands. A
enjoy them,
$0
and
pre-stream.
I feel better getting that off my
Got
chest, 'cause I
nothing for
feel
that
awful
bravado.
people losing their jobs like this. It
And you
makes
know
me
he's
really
gonna keep that
upset.
420 anyway.
And,
He's just not gonna put it to the counter.
Hopefully,
You really think
there
he
will be a
refunded
light
that
at the
or
end of this
banned that
tunnel.
PayPal
It'd be
person?
great if
I don't
Xbox
think
could
so.
actually make some good games like Matt Booty is apparently alluding to. That's what they're going to do. We're going to refocus our efforts on our big games. You don't have any big games.
You don't know
You
about
have to
them.
make big games. You have to make good games to become big. You can't just have big games. That doesn't exist, right?
They're
Halo is
working on them.
gone.
What the fuck
Gears
is
of
he-
War is nothing like it used to be. Can you name
What
another
did he mean
Xbox
by that?
exclusive?
They're
I can
being
name
worked
Bethesda
on.
exclusives that are not really
He
ready
knows
to be
about them. You
released or made.
don't.
So I don't even know what they're talking about at this
You don't
time,
know
right?
what they're talking about because they
No, I
didn't
don't
announce
get
them
it.
yet.
Thank you, Tizwaz1112 for becoming a member for 28 months.
Yeah,
I
just hit him with
appreciate
the
that very
thumbs up.
much.
Should dumb the door.
Okay. So guys, that's all I got for now. I shouted out Jordan and Tizwaz, so if anyone else contributes,
Ah,
thank
yes,
you. I will
Jordan,
give
that
you a shout
completely
out.
normal
We do have a
person.
little bit of extra time if anyone wants to talk about stuff. And like I said, I really hope you guys will stick around and hang out with me for Fallout 4. I
No.
hope this isn't a pattern of Fallout not doing well, just because of the one stream. I hope that Fallout does well today. What's up, Game Boy? How are you today? Welcome. Mr. AG says,
I'm gonna step
"Look at
away
Starfield,
real
even an
briefly,
exclusive fail,
but
so what do we
I'll
even have
let
to
this
look forward
keep
to on
playing.
Xbox
I don't know how
anymore,
much
right?
more I'm gonna
And
listen
this
to
is
it.
Definitely, this is the
Definitely
first
not gonna
console
see the
generation
gameplay portion.
where I can outright tell you it does not matter which console you
BRB
own.
real quick.
The best games.
It doesn't matter
across
what
platforms,
console
exclusives
you
are just
own.
not a big deal. They're just
Unless
not.
it's a
They're
Switch.
literally not a big deal.
In which case
These
you're in
exclusives
fucking
have
last
just
place,
been
right? Fuck
Lackluster
Nintendo.
games or meh games, right? There's been nothing truly exclusive that you needed to own one particular console for. You know, PlayStation 5 does a few things well.
Easy to
Xbox
say
does a
that
few
when you
things
own all
well,
fucking 3
but neither
consoles.
shine above the other in this regard. So there's literally no console war anymore at all. I mean, there's
So
no,
says the
no
guy
reason
who
to
just
even fight
ranted
about it.
like he was a fucking
And that
general
chat used to be
on the front lines.
100%.
Down
you
in the
need to play
trenches.
PlayStation for this great franchise. You need the Xbox because they got the hot new game here. There's no hot new games anymore. They don't exist.
They didn't work for his channel, therefore they don't exist anymore. Never mind Helldivers. Oh, that's different. That doesn't count. You're just trying for a gotcha moment.
Already talked about the Switch, Alan. You must be late.
Yeah, rewind the VOD. Rewind the VOD and be behind so we can private the video before you catch up. Hey, just watch them on 2x speed. Okay, I'll leave you with this. I need to be BRB.
Okay, so what do you guys want to talk about? We have a little bit of extra time. I don't like ending the podcast with no Q&A. I like having the Q&A segment to see whatever your topics are you want to talk about, because as you know, once we get into the game, I like to focus on the game. So do you guys have any particular topics or things you like to discuss? That is true. Soup Fork says there's a showcase coming in June. Maybe they'll have good stuff there. I mean, you're in June. That's, I feel, when we're gonna get so much information. You're gonna have the Xbox showcase, the Summer Game Fest, and now, yes, the rumor now is that Sony's doing one, and we already know Nintendo's doing one. So basically, because they're doing no more E3, it's done. That first 2 weeks of June is when they're releasing all of the information, right, of all games for the rest of the year. Because right now, I went through the game schedule. There's literally nothing big this year. So I get the feeling we're going to get the big drops and the big dates will all be coming out in June. It's going to be a crazy couple of weeks in early June, probably. So hopefully, yes. No, I do not use an iPad. I haven't used an iPad in a greater part of a decade. I owned an iPad. I think I bought it in 2011 or 2012. And I actively used the iPad for maybe 2 to 3 years. Like, I think the first 1 to 2 years I lived here, I was using an iPad. And then I just, you know, it kind of got outdated, and the new phones were better, the iPad I had. And then my iPad broke. Like, I stopped using it for a while. And then I tried to charge it and plug it in one day. And it just wouldn't even turn on anymore. And I was like, oh, it might be that there's no updates or the battery died. I have no idea. I don't know. So I just gave up on the fucking thing. I don't use it. Black Rose X Dragon is saying they own stock in Microsoft, and in the past 4 years, the value has almost doubled. Well, that's Microsoft. That's different. Microsoft and Xbox are different. You have to understand it. Microsoft is the entire company. This is a ginormous company. They own a bajillion products, not only software, but there's AI involved. Now there's all that shit. If you own Microsoft stock, overall, Xbox is a drop in the bucket of what Microsoft is. Okay? So just because we're talking about, oh, gaming's on the downswing, that doesn't necessarily mean that Microsoft stock is going to tank because of it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, apologies. I am existing back again. Nintendo has been attending E3 even when it was a thing. They stopped attending around 2014.
Well,
but even though, like, even when they quote unquote stopped attending, they still had exhibits on the show floor. They were still exhibiting.
I don't think those are main story quests. We've done a lot of main story quests, right? We did.
Alright, is this it? Is this the end of the Dingus React? He doesn't cry more.
Last time around.
Alright, he's done. He's done. Yes, we made it to the end of the gaming news segment. That was like the most worthwhile of the DSPN gaming news segments in a long time. Not to say that he hasn't cried during those segments before. It's definitely not the first time he's cried about company layoffs. But I was bewildered. I was quite astonished by just how much more upset I was by the Xbox segment than I was by the Nintendo segment. Nintendo segment was just typical Nintendo hate. Very easy to debunk that. But that Xbox shit just came out of nowhere, man. He understands nothing about company management. Like, of course, when companies merge, they're gonna lay off people. What the fuck? You think they're just gonna have they don't have room for infinite employees at the Xbox employee cafeteria. Like, I'm sorry, you guys. There's only so many tables out there. It's like how every company works. A lot of people hyping up that Activision Blizzard buyout shit. Like, a lot of people didn't consider that. Over here hyping up, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if Xbox owned Crash Bandicoot? Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be awesome if Xbox owned Spyro? No, it wouldn't be awesome, because they do fuck all with Banjo-Kazooie, who they've owned for much longer.